What's happening? Good people, we are live and we on time. Look at that. Look at that. We on time for y'all, man. Most of the time, it's be my fault. I'll be doing all kinds of other stuff, but the ladies got me together last week, man. They got me together. So I sent Kenyon the invite early and we ready to rock right at 7:30. But what's up, everybody? Let me pull up the chat so I can say what's up and hello to the early commenters. And then we're going to dive right in, man. We don't really want to waste no time, just to give you all a quick peek behind the curtain. A lot of times I'll watch the stream back, at least a little bit of it. Just if you are a content creator or, maybe it's my music background, you always got to go back, listen, critique, yada, yada, yada. And I realize I think I do too much talking in the beginning. We do too much roundabout before we dive into it. So I'm going to stop doing that. So, all right, man, let's get into it. Let's say hello to the early commenters. Big Dro, Throwback Music, Jason Winningham. How you doing, sir? Robert Westover, my good buddy Ron Simpson. I tell you, man, I always got to give a shout out to Ron. Ron knows me from the gaming world, but I'll tell you, every single time I stream, he's here. That's what you call respect, loyalty, whatever you want to call it, whatever it is, Ron. I appreciate you, man. And he's an older gentleman. I won't put his age out there unless he wants to, but I found out that he's an older gentleman. So to me, that's always interesting when I can get that type of retention. So I appreciate him. So I'm going to start addressing you as sir as well, the same as I do with Mr. Winningham. Stillmatic, Sun Moon 80. Hello, Miss Destiny in the building. One of the superstars from last week. Hello, Miss Lanisha in the building. One of the superstars from last week. What a great show that was. Trey, Vistalite, Y Diggy, Sippy Boy, Banor Johnson, Fonny Boy? Or is it Funny Boy? It's kind of pronounced like Fonny, or it might be funny, like spelled like Sunny. I don't know. But either way, what's up to you? And we'll end it with Raymond Johnson. So, tonight, you guys know the routine. We got quite a few topics to talk about. We're going to do some speculation as far as what's going to happen in the draft. I'm going to make this announcement now, and I'm sure I will make it again a little bit later. What I plan to do on draft night, we will have another form of it's a little mini mosquito in my room here, guys. I got this key light, and I can see it sitting right on the light, so y'all might see me swat at it. But anyway, what we're going to do on Thursday, you guys know I have another podcast that I do on Thursday, but I'm going to split the time with that. I already told, my host on that show, my co-host there, look, he's a Lions fan. We'll split it up. We'll do an hour of our normal podcast. And then after that, we're going to be right back for a Steel Table draft segment. It would be myself and Kenyon. And maybe if Tony is available. And for some of you guys have been asking, man, Tony has just had some more obligations going on Tuesday night, so he can't always commit to being a part of the Steel Table. But he's always here in spirit. But anyway, that's how I plan to do it, because I want to make sure that myself and at least Kenyon, we're streaming and we're live as the Steelers do their draft pick. So I don't want to take no chances, because normally my other podcast is 2 hours, it's 8 to 10. Nah. I already told him, look, we're going to have to cut that thing short, maybe right after the Lions pick. And then it's still a night. Mr. Dessa, how you doing? She's in the building as well. But here's what we're going to talk about tonight, guys. Let me get to the topics. We're going to be all over the place, but primarily we want to answer the question that's in the title. Steelers are on the clock. Who are they drafting at 24? It's not so clear cut anymore. It is and it isn't at the same time. The Steelers pick up the 5th-year option on Minka Fitzpatrick. Baltimore trades Orlando Brown to the Chiefs. Mike Tomlin hints towards Chuks Okorafor being the starting left tackle. Rumor has it the Steelers think Trey Sermon fits their scheme. No surprise to us. And then the last thing we'll get into is, will the Steelers trade down? If so, what does it take for them to trade down? We'll talk a little bit about that. But anyway, let me throw it to Kenyon first, man, to say hello to the people and how you've been doing this past week. And where you want to start off, man? I figured we could tackle Minka and the Baltimore stuff first, and then it'll be all Steelers.
Yeah, let's just get into it because we can flow through these topics. This is pre-draft, so we can get into it.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and get those mini ones out the way. The easiest one to talk about. Steelers pick up Minka Fitzpatrick, 5th-year option. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. Why shouldn't it be a surprise, even if you were a skeptic? Well, let me give you 2 names. Bud Dupree had his 5th-year option picked up. Whatever you feel about Bud, he started coming on later in his career, yes. But at the time the 5th-year option was picked up, I don't think anybody was pounding the table for him. Maybe some of you were, but at that time, I don't think, especially me and Kenyon, he was literally 48 to me at that time as well. Like, And here's another one. Well, actually, I might be wrong with this one, Kenyon. We didn't pick up Edmonds' 5th year, did we?
No.
Okay, so I don't have 2 names. I only have 1. If we picked up Bud Dupree and you saw how well he played, we can only expect that Minka Fitzpatrick was going to get his picked up. And then I guess I will use Terrell Edmonds in the sense of you see who didn't get theirs picked up. So it wasn't that hard to assume that Minka Fitzpatrick would have the 5th-year option picked up. Also, if you go all the way back to when we traded him, I'm pretty sure Kevin Colbert and the Rooneys and Tomlin as well factored all of that into trading your 1st-round pick. So for no other reason than that is the reason why you pick up an additional year of his contract. So no surprise. I'm happy to have him back. Any thoughts on it, Kenyon?
No, because I knew it was going to happen. So it was just confirmation. I think, we both saw that earlier today. So it wasn't a shock. It was I knew it was going to happen. So, for me, it was just business as usual. You know what I mean? The Evans thing, by them not picking it up yet, not saying that they won't, because they still might. But
that's right. They're the same year.
Same year. So
That's right.
So I mean, them doing Minka and not doing Edmonds, it doesn't really say anything right now because it's April. But that's something to keep an eye on. If I'm expecting them to, but you never know. It could go the other way if they find somebody that they like, or I think they like Edmonds. I think they just don't. I think the fan base, quote unquote, has the issues with Edmonds because they may look at Minka and say, well, Minka gets picks, Minka does this, Minka does that. But one safety has to be stable to let the other safety be free.
Yeah.
You guys understand what I'm saying? Troy could be free and do whatever he wanted to do because Ryan Clark was stable in the back. And Edmonds is stable. He's not a super duper playmaker. Well, he's not a playmaker. He tested off the charts when he came out to draft, which is actually funny because he's tested off the charts. And you have to ask yourself, what do you like best? A guy who tests off the charts or a guy who's a straight playmaker? And that's where you get into the draft when we bring up certain safeties, or if I tell you guys about Talanoa Hufanga from USC, who's not as fast as Edmonds, maybe not as athletic, but is a playmaker. The film doesn't lie. So those things are, things you have to weigh in when you look at safeties. And especially somebody playing in the box, which is what the Steelers like to do with Edmonds. And in the box, Edmonds is great. If you watch him in the box, he makes a lot of tackles. He's very solid. He does the things that you want him to do. You just hope he would get a pick here, or something like that. But, my viewpoint on Edmonds is just I've seen him now. We kind of know what he is. So I'm not gonna, he's not a great player. He's solid for our defense. And if he's solid, I don't know how much I can ask more of him to do. And that's an important thing to keep in mind when you're watching a total defense, essentially. So hopefully they pick his option up, but I wouldn't be surprised if they inquire or look into or maybe draft another safety that kind of plays that position and can be an understudy. And, because the Steelers aren't really into long-term. NFL is not about long-term anymore. I mean, you basically have 4 years, and your 4 years is up, and they don't like what they see, they're not re-signing you. So in the Minkah case, you see they love him, so they're re-signing him. This will happen with T.J. Watt. All the players that are studs, it will happen. Bud Dupree, and I can freely say his name now. Bud Dupree was a guy that I just didn't think they were re-signed. It was impossible, because while he played great the last year and a half, or good to great the last year and a half, they're looking at it as a totality of what he brought to the table, and then the price. And he outpriced himself, even with the injury. So think about it. He was hurt, and he still got big money. So just imagine if he had played all year and got 9 sacks or 8 sacks or something like that. So, I kind of knew that. That's why me and Sim we talked about Highsmith, because they drafted Highsmith to be Bud Dupree's replacement. And so these are things like, when you talk about players, I always try to look at the whole picture, because if you focus in on one person, sometimes you get disappointed. So, but I'm just happy with them. I'm happy with the Minkah thing, and I'm cool with it.
I have no complaints. And I'm glad you reminded me of that. For some reason, I was thinking maybe because he was on our team and, we acquired Minkah, I was thinking Edmonds' option had to be done last year, but I forget they're in the same draft.
Yeah.
So that is interesting. Not really. I mean, I think the way you broke it down makes sense too. And y'all forgive me for looking down, man. I forgot to send the link to Leonard, so I'm doing it now. Does it say anything that they picked up Minkah's first? Maybe, but maybe not. I think Kenyon just outlined that. I mean, I don't think even Edmonds might have to say himself that Minkah has outplayed him, so to speak. They're not in the same position, but you know what I mean? So I think if you're a realist, you can understand why Minkah might get done first. I mean, I say that, but it's hard for a player to accept that sometimes. But we'll see. Does that mean anything?
Minkah was a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
Edmonds was a bottom of the first pick.
Right. Yep.
So that tells you everything you need to know. Minkah was a top 5 pick who the Steelers coveted, but knew they couldn't get because of where they were picking.
Yeah.
So, remember, they went to Alabama Pro Day. They talked to Minkah. You know what I mean? So they wanted Minkah, but as circumstances play out, they weren't in a position to draft him. And the only way you can look at it or say is that if Minkah failed to 10, would they do the same trade, essentially like they did for Devin Bush, trade up to get Minkah? And that's one of those players that if you look at Colbert's history, he will tell you he would do that for that type of player. You know what I mean? So, Edmonds was not saying that he was a fail-safe guy, but they looked at him as a potential guy. Like, Tomlin knew about him, background, Virginia Tech, that whole area, knew about him, knew about his brother. So Edmonds was kind of a potential guy. Some people could say, well, that's not a great pick, but as we always say, all your picks aren't going to be great.
Right.
You're not going to hit in the first round all the time. If you hit in the first round 50% of the time, you have done a great job as a GM. You know what I mean? And so for every Terrell Edmonds, and if you want to go down the history, Artie Burns, back in the day, Chad Scott, who was actually okay. You know what I mean? They're not going to hit on everybody. We can all sit back here and say, oh, well, they should have got this guy in hindsight, because you don't really know until you see them play. So right. It's just an interesting thing. You know what I mean? When they drafted Troy, there were people who didn't understand the pick at first because he was a hybrid. You know what I mean? They didn't know where they were going to play him at. So it's weird. I always tell people just, we're all fans, but, as Sim and I always talk about, we just try to have perspective on certain picks not to fall in love with picks. Even though Sim is in love with one pick this year, in love. but other than that, he's trying not to do that. So, I'm cool with Edmonds. I was more harder on Bud because of where he went in the draft and what you expect from somebody in that range. And we're all human. We're gonna all have our opinions, but we'll see what happens with Edmonds.
Yeah, man. Just looking at what some of you guys are saying, I'll chime in. Fully agree with Mr. Winningham where he says if I can get back to it and find it. If I can, I'll paraphrase it. Yeah, I can't find it, but he said basically Edmonds, he hasn't regressed, i.e. on Artie Burns. He said Edmonds is what he is, and he says he's a decent player. I agree with that fully. Edmonds is not bad, man. I mean, if you go back and look at how he played last year, for what he is and for the type of player that he is, he's a piece. This is not a direct connection, but you guys will get it this way. He's our Vince Williams-esque safety, right? He's gonna be what he's gonna be. He's solid at what he does. He's gonna be exposed in certain situations, but you'll take him. You could probably do worse in the league right now as strong safety than Edmonds. And as long as you have, like Kenyon said, we're definitely not doing a direct comparison, but as long as you have a Troy and a Ryan Clark type of pairing, one dude is all world and the other guy is just serviceable. That's really all you can ask for. So I'm cool with Edmonds, man. Let's see. The next thing. What I have here, little topic. Baltimore trades Orlando Brown to the Chiefs. I don't remember all the terms. I do remember that I want to say they get more picks. Kenyon actually sent it to Kenyon. Probably already has the terms right on deck, but
yes, they do. They get a pick. They get an extra. They get another pick in. Let me check it.
Did they get in the first round? I don't remember.
It might be the first. It might be the first.
Oh yeah, they may have taken their first.
Right.
Yeah. Because I remember me saying, well, good thing they pick after us. So it should be 31st, I'm guessing.
It would be I'm scrolling.
Yeah, because the Bucks should have the 32nd pick.
Right.
Well,
no, it was the Chiefs. Yeah, so the Chiefs have 31. Yeah. I think they do have that pick actually.
Got you. So, I mean, this will roll us into another topic. With him leaving, it's expected that Little Al, or Little Villy, as Kenyon calls him, is expected to sign with the Ravens and be their left tackle. Okay. I think we discussed that last week. I like to see him deal with Highsmith's ghost rush. Not saying that Highsmith is the greatest or anything like that. He still has to prove himself, but I'm just saying Villanueva doesn't scare me. I mean, and it's not a disrespect to him. I think he did his job when he was with us. He has started to regress. He's older. Being as tall as he is, the shorter guys are going to be able to get more leverage. I mean, we know his weakness. It doesn't scare me that he's going to the Ravens, a typically non-passing team anyway. So, how much is Villanueva going to give you in their particular scheme? We'll see. So I'm not bothered by that, man. But what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on this too? Supposedly the rumor is that they're waiting to sign him to, where he'll be outside of the range where the Steelers would get compensation for the pick.
Yeah, I saw that. It's the Ravens and the Steelers. You know that is. But also, it would be a good signing because of the injury to their real stud left tackle. Yeah. And he would be able to walk right in and fill a need. But the Ravens are in a position in this draft at 27 and at 31, where you can obviously see that they're probably going to target a wide receiver, and they're probably going to target another offensive lineman. Because one thing about the Ravens is that they have to keep the offensive line intact and build it back up because of the style of quarterback that they have and the style that they play in. But they will target a wide receiver, which is, if you look at it, that's really a pretty good swap. You trade Orlando Brown, and you get the 31st pick in this draft. Hey,
yeah,
that's kind of a sneaky steal move. I like that. So it's going to be interesting. As Sim says, I said, I'm not worried about Lil Billy goes there. That's cool. You know what I mean? I want to see Highsmith and him. That would be interesting. You know what I mean? I don't think you can block him, but, it's a good pickup. Steelers fans will be like he's a traitor, but, personally, I don't care where he goes. So it's kind of like, we'll see. And, of course, they would wait so we couldn't get compensation. But, turnabout is fair play. It'll happen the other way around, and, we'll get back on them. So, that's pretty much it. I mean, Lil Billy was good for us, but we knew we weren't re-signing him, and so au revoir.
Yeah, man. Good luck to you. Not so much luck. And just to comment on what Trey is saying, sometimes I forget how they classify it, but think about it like this: if I'm the nose tackle, right, and the defense is behind me, Highsmith plays on this side. So he plays on the right side of the defense. Get it? TJ plays on the left side. Now, like I said, I forget sometimes how they classify it. I can take a look real quick now just to see how because sometimes the way they write up the depth chart is not the perspective you see it in. Hold on, give me a second and I can tell y'all. But bottom line is TJ Watt won't see Villanueva. If Villanueva is playing left tackle, he won't see him unless we swap. Remember that they changed. TJ used to play on the other side. And then that year they swapped with Bud Dupree, which Bud looked like he started showing off when he was on the opposite side. And TJ goes against the right tackle now. So, in that regard, I guess he's the left outside linebacker. Highsmith would be the right outside linebacker.
But they switched them up though. So,
yeah, they switched. They
switched them up. So he would see both of them. Technically, he would see both of them.
He don't want none parts of TJ. I can tell you right now.
he don't want no parts of Highsmith.
Yeah,
he don't want no parts of that. So.
Yeah, and they got it listed. They just got it listed as linebacker here on the team. I'm not looking at the depth chart. But yeah, I always forget that. And it's funny. I played, but sometimes I'm telling you, if you look at some like websites, the way they list it is not right. I always view it from the perspective of being on the field.
Right.
This guy's my right. This guy's my left. Meaning, if I'm Vince Williams, there's Highsmith to my right. Most of the time, there's Stephon Tuitt. Not always, because they switch, but a lot of times it's going to it'll be Haywood. A lot of times is on that side, and the Tuitt is on this side with TJ.
Right.
But that's usually how it goes. But au revoir.
Yeah,
like Kenyon said, nothing to see here, folks.
Good luck to you until you play us. That's how I feel about it. So.
Man, I think let's just read these last three topics. They're pretty much going to all roll together because we just talking straight up draft now.
Mm-hmm.
Will the Steelers trade down? And if so, what does it take for them to do that? Because if you listen to Kevin Colbert and Mike Tomlin's pre-draft conference, he kind of brought up some points that I really didn't think about, especially now, mentioning the Raven news having 2 picks. Both them and Cleveland are picking behind us.
Right.
So if you trade down, you would expect that they would stay in the first. I don't know if we trade all the way out. I mean, it's possible, but I don't know. Do you want to risk giving the division higher picks? I don't know how much that factors in the grand scheme of things, because Colbert kind of said, well, we don't really pay too much attention to that, but you got to understand a lot of the stuff that they're telling us is just on the surface answers. I don't think the Ravens bite. I don't think Cleveland bites. It all depends on who's there at 24, and you got to consider what team behind us needs this guy that they're expecting to be on the board. I don't know how that plays out. And then, of course, guys, we're going to talk about Okorafor, being on the left side. How does that factor into the first round pick? Trey Sermon, and who we going to pick at 24?
You're forgetting something. We have to talk about the draft scenario that me and you talk about all the time, that people are talking about, that the panel may not understand what really may happen and the options that the Steelers will have at 24. Not what you think would happen, what may happen with Najee Harris. So that's the topic.
Yeah, let's do it, man. All things draft, man. Let's see what time is it. We here for at least another 30 plus minutes. Let me throw this out at you guys early. I'll come back to it later because this is where I've been for the last couple of weeks. What do I think the Steelers are going to do? All signs are pointing at Najee Harris, right? It's funny. I was listening to the Terrible podcast yesterday, and I heard Dave Bryan say, I don't know. It just feels too clean. And I know what he's saying. It just feels like it's too picture perfect. He's the best running back, quote unquote. Steelers love him. He was on First Take, and he was saying, I would love to be a Steeler. He said that it was the best call and why it was the best call, and the people are so inviting and, really putting our organization out on the front. And I'm like, I don't know, man. If he's there, I think they take him. I do think that. But I'm going to give you another quick scenario. I'm going to say a couple little things here and then throw it to Kenya. The caveat is something Kenyon has been saying for weeks. What are the Miami Dolphins going to do? Are they looking at a running back at 18 too? Like, okay. So y'all want him? So do we. Or I don't really know their scheme enough to, I know our scheme. I know a couple other teams' scheme because I admire them, like 49ers and things like, but I don't look at everybody. So I don't know if Najee or ETN fits more of the Dolphins type of scheme. I really don't know.
Well, Najee is more of would fit their scheme in the sense that coach is a Bill Belichick disciple who kind of wants a big back to pound the rock like they had New England. You know what I mean? So you have to look at it like that. Like they may like him for that particular reason. You understand what I'm saying? He could be a 3-down back for them immediately, and they kind of want to pound you a little bit, Miami, because he's like a Belichick disciple. So
yeah, Flores. Yep.
Yeah.
So you have that scenario. He's gone. Let's just say he's gone. So for the record, I think if Najee is there at 24, I think the Steelers will do it. Main reason why, and even though Colbert said, well, there's wide receivers are deep, running backs are deep, offensive line is deep, but he keeps talking about the offensive line's depth. So it makes me think maybe they're going to view it like this. Let's get whoever we have on our board as the highest running back first. We'll come back in the second round, maybe double dip in the third round at offensive line. It could go the other way, but here's the reason why I think they would do the running back first. Which one is more likely at 24? One of the top premier offensive linemen or one of the top premier running backs? So you would think a Jenkins might be gone, or you would think what's your boy from USC might be gone.
Elijah Tucker, he'll be gone. Yeah.
Sewell, he been gone. He might be sitting at our crib by the time.
Exactly.
Been gone.
Exactly. Been gone.
What's the other dude?
Rashawn Slater will be gone.
Gone. Eckenberg, gone. Probably.
Yeah. Well, Eckenberg.
Maybe not. Though.
Eckenberg may be there. So that's a great point. Eckenberg may be there, but at 24. The team to watch is Miami because if Miami at 18, that's the slot.
That's
if they say we want Najee and he's gone, and what would the Steelers do in that scenario? Look, I listen to Colbert all the time. They look at it like they have a board. So just imagine if Najee is gone off that board at 24. What are your options? Do you take, like you say, if a Tevin Jenkins is there from Oklahoma State, do you take him? I may. And if you ask me to rate both players, Jenkins and Najee, yeah, I love running backs, but Tevin Jenkins is what we actually should covet to build up the offensive line. And Matt Canada may like him a lot. You have to look at these things to become a bruising. And Adrian Clem, who just came out and said our offensive line wasn't physical. We need to grab guys who are physical. Yeah. So Tevin Jenkins would be a perfect fit. Or if Tevin Jenkins is gone, and I have a feeling he may be gone by 24, because I think his stock has risen steadily, do you take somebody? Does Zaven Collins come into play? Because they won't shy away from drafting the linebacker. That's just what they will do. So do they take somebody like Zaven Collins, who what he does and reminds you of, he's like Lawrence Timmons, where you can play him inside, but he can also rush the passer. So do you take somebody like Zaven Collins? Do you look at somebody like Jamin Davis out of Kentucky, who can cover and it's just watch him on tape. He's just, I really like him. Or does a scenario play out where a cornerback drops, which we just saw that a cornerback is dropping and may drop out of the first. Somebody that was a top 3 corner. I mean, look, ideally, I would love to have the kid out of South Carolina. I want J.C. Horn. If somebody could give me, that's what I would want. But he's going to be long gone. Like Sam said, he'll be at home by the time we pick at 24. So those scenarios are scenarios I play in my head, because I look at it like, if Najee is gone, the Steelers, they really like Trey Sermon. And they can get Trey Sermon, and he fits the scheme, and they can get him, because some people say you got to get him in the second. No, you can get Trey Sermon in the third. He'll be there in the third. You can get him in the third round. Or to keep Sim's hope up, and even my little hope up, maybe they take our boy. If he's there, because he's not going to make it to 55. So these are all scenarios that play out in my head, especially now if the Najee situation doesn't happen, because as Sim said, it's too easy. It seems like it's too easy for him to fall and be there at 24. And I'm just telling you guys, watch out for the Dolphins, because that's the team I'm worried about. I'm not worried about any other team before us except Miami.
Yeah, the Jets too, man. That is an interesting one. The Jets picking right in front of us. They're gonna pick probably Taylor at quarterback. Do you get a new running back to help out? That's a tricky one too. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to pass if I'm the Jets and I'm able to get the quarterback that we think we want, and at 23, Najee Harris is sitting there. Or they probably need offensive line help as well.
Yeah, they'll be drafted. They'll be drafting a new quarterback. So you have to look at it like the Jets are getting a new quarterback. So they're going to try. They're going to do what they didn't do for Sam Darnold. They're going to try to protect him.
Right.
And so you have to look at it like the Jets will be in play for. Now I do believe the Jets are tricky like this: O-line or playmaker. Get them another weapon to go with your young quarterback.
Yeah.
So that's one of those receivers that, one of those receivers may fall. I don't know which one it is, but one of them may. You know what I mean? And so they may do that. But yeah, I mean, at 24, look, Over said in his press conference, I would encourage y'all to go watch it. They're open.
They open, bro.
So whatever's there at 24, I guess I'll look at it this way. At 24 is what we say every year. They will draft the best available.
Let me look at this draft order again. Matter of fact, hold on. I can look it up, and we can all go through it together. I can put it on the screen. Give me a second. 1 second. It's going to be interesting, guys. I just I got to agree with Dave Bryan, man. Even though I think they go on Najee, it just seems like it's too much of a perfect storm. And sometimes that's the scenario. Sometimes if the signs are telling you this is where they're going, that's where they're going. But like Kenya said, if they let me see, NFL draft order, if you have to take into account another team, because we think it's the Jets, but what if somebody else might jump out the window and throw the whole draft off? So it could happen. All right, here we go, guys. I'm gonna put this on the screen really quick. Give me 2 seconds. If I can remember how to do it.
Okay.
Where's my share button? There we go. This one right, y'all. All right, guys. Take a look at this. You have Jacksonville, which most people would assume that Trevor Lawrence is going there.
Yep.
Jets is probably going to be Taylor, but it could be any of those quarterbacks. San Francisco could be any of those quarterbacks. Atlanta is a wild card. Never know who they might be looking to take. Yeah. Maybe quarterback. I don't know.
Maybe trade down.
And what if they get because they were one of the first teams saying they might trade down. And what if they get Julio out of there?
You're right.
Who knows?
If you get Julio out, if they trade Julio, that changes their draft. Because now you're looking at it like so you're basically saying you're rebuilding.
Absolutely.
And maybe they take quarterback.
Man, the Bengals, I see them going. That's probably where old boy going to end up.
Sewell.
Yeah. Wait, the Dolphins pick at 6 too?
Yeah, they got 6 and 18.
Oh boy.
So at 6, Miami will take right, but they will take at 6 that you could take somebody. Okay, this is how I look at it. At 6, if Kyle Pitts falls,
they're not taking. Yeah, they're not taking Najee that early. Yeah.
Right, it's a done deal. So Kyle Pitts, because you can argue Kyle Pitts is the second best player in his draft, or maybe the first.
Absolutely.
So you could take Kyle Pitts at 6 because really, what does Kyle Pitts do for Tua? He makes Tua better because now he has that one guy that they can't cover. So that's a perfect pick. That's a perfect pick for Miami.
Detroit, I'm not scared of them. I think one of them quarterbacks might go there. It all depends on how they feel about golf. But maybe a defensive player. No disrespect, Detroit, but I don't think you have to worry about them drafting a running back high because when have they ever hit? I know what y'all going to say, Barry Sanders. I know, but I'm saying since then, Detroit ain't never seemed like the running backs have never materialized there except for Barry Sanders.
Right.
Well,
Billy Sims.
Oh yeah, and that's going so far back. See what I'm saying, guys? Carolina, I don't know what they're going to do. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know what each team needs, but I'm just kind of looking for us. So let's say Carolina probably not. Well, they ain't going first round back. That's Christian McCaffrey. I don't know. Denver, do they feel like jumping out at 9? Probably not running back. Dallas ain't going to do it.
No.
Giants ain't going to do it. You got to stick with your investment.
No.
Philly.
Philly needs a cornerback.
Cornerback, okay.
Philly needs a wide receiver. They lost. I don't know if they believe in your boy that they drafted last year that you really liked from TCU. He was kind of like, I don't know how much they like him. So.
Oh yeah.
It might go wide receiver there. You got cornerback, running back. No, I mean basically you can skip down this whole list until you
What's
get
his name? Rager.
Jalen Rager.
Vikings got my horse back there. Florida State in the building. Patriots is interesting at 15. I really want to know what they're doing.
I think they're trading up.
I saw something today that said potentially they might be eyeing Justin Fields, and I think that would be a phenomenal idea.
I agree. If you
Let
can
him
move
learn
up
from Cam.
oh my, 1 year and just yeah.
Arizona, Vegas, Raiders. No, they good with Jacobs, and there goes Najee Harris right there.
That's it right there.
Oh man. No, you know what's gonna happen, Kenya and chat, because y'all know how much I adore this guy. This was gonna happen because this is what's gonna happen just to get at me. The Dolphins they're gonna see something, and they're gonna see the same thing that we see in Javonte Williams, and they're gonna pick him. And then we'll be left with Najee. I'm cool with it. But that's how funny the draft is. It'll end up being something like that, where me and Kenya would be sitting here being like, bruh, I know the Dolphins didn't just take our man and left Najee on the board.
I don't know. I just don't see Miami doing that.
Yeah.
Because I think that the two people that Najee got a lot of interest from was the Dolphins and the Steelers. So if those two, now it doesn't really mean anything because a lot of times you could be playing possum. You don't want to talk to him. You don't want to really speak to him. And then you draft him because you always coveted him, which is what I was telling Sim about Javonte. Because Tomlin didn't go to the pro day doesn't mean anything to me, especially if he's not a first round pick. You know what I mean? With our history. But yeah, it's 18. If he gets past 18, he's home free to make it to 24. Unless somebody's going to just straight trade up before us and do that. But I don't think the Steelers are going to – I think they're going to stand pat and just let somebody fall, whoever's the best on their board, and look at it that way. So I don't rule out – while I would love to have Najee, I'm with Sim. Look, we both said we think Javonte is the best running back in this draft. He just is to us. But
I love that kid, man.
But, you know, for some reason, he's not getting any buzz. And Sim and I aren't in that draft room because we're in that draft room with Tomlin and Colbert. Oh, yeah, he and I would be tag teaming.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know, off the ropes, tag teaming, telling them, yo, draft this kid. But they covet Najee because he reminds them of Le'Veon Bell because that's what he is. He just reminds you of Le'Veon Bell. That's all he is. Mm-hmm. So, but also Trey Sermon, very similar to Najee, very similar. And in that scheme, you know, one of the things I love about Trey Sermon that I don't know if people talk about is just how he runs, how he attacks you as a runner, how he's looking for you to hit.
He like Williams.
Yeah, he likes that. And to me, that's a trait that in the Steel City, they will love him for that. You know, Benny Snell does it, but Benny Snell is not like Trey Sermon. You know what I mean? In that way, Trey Sermon is bigger, longer, always falls forward. You know what I mean? But both backs, Najee and Sermon, have something in common. They're not breakaway backs. So if you're expecting somebody to run away and break away, that's not your guy because ETN is that guy. He's the guy that if he gets a little crease, he'll be out. You know what I mean? But if you look at our roster, our running back, that we have somebody like that. You know, Anthony McFarland, to me, it was like a red shirt year. Now we're really going to see what Anthony McFarland is about, especially in the scheme with the coach that coached him. And, you know, tape don't lie. When he was at Maryland, he was a beast, you know, for the times he was in there. So, you know, 18, Sim. 18.
Man, that's 6'2", 230, boy. It's Le'Veon Bell written all over him, man. Which is another reason why I tried to do a self-analysis and say, okay, what would make them take a running back in the first? And then immediately we all go to Le'Veon, and we got him in the second. But you can't always do it like that because you have to think about the draft and what other players are around them. What if the Steelers look at it like that? Man, we got that guy in the second round. This guy reminds us of him. Yeah. We got what we knew we were going to get from him.
Right.
He's worth a first-round pick. Could make that case. But here, if you look at the rest of this, right? I saw a scenario, I think it might have been Cynthia Freeland, somebody like that saw a scenario where the Steelers would trade with Green Bay to trade down. I could see this happening in this sense. maybe Jacksonville, but nobody else here is probably taking a running back, right?
Right.
And it's slipping my mind. I can't really remember what Jacksonville's running game looks like right now. Can't even remember who's in their backfield. So maybe they looking for a back as early as 25. I'm not 100% certain, but Cleveland, Baltimore, Saints, Packers, Packers, maybe they find a player that they need. But I guess what I'm saying is if we move down to 29, the potential running back, if he's still here after the Jets pick, I could see possibly, I could go along with Cynthia's prediction. The only one you kind of make a deal with is probably Green Bay.
Right.
If you stand in the first round. And you probably still get the running back if that's what you're trying to do. But who knows what the scenario would be.
Green Bay is interesting because what do they actually want or need?
Right.
At where they're picking at 29. And I do agree that Najee could still be there because you have to look at it as value. So could Najee, if he makes it past 18, could he fall at 29? He probably could.
Mm-hmm.
My take on this is this. I'm fine with Najee, drafting Najee, but I'm not going to be butthurt if we don't get him at 24. I'm just being honest. I'm not going to be butthurt. I'm not going to be angry, because I feel like Trey Sermon. If there wasn't another back like that in the draft, that I think could do the similar stuff, then I would be like, yeah, you have to draft that guy. And but Trey Sermon, he came on late, but he's a monster. And as I said it to Sim earlier, Steelers think he fits their scheme perfectly. So I'm just saying that Javonte Williams, who we both love.
Oh.
I mean, the only way. If you trade down, if you're Colbert, and Colbert mentioned this in the press conference, the only way you trade down is if you get something really good. You know what I mean? So if you get something really good, you do that. So, that would be my take on it. If they get something really good, some picks, they'd have to get like another second rounder. You know what I mean? Because I think they covet those 8 picks. And Colbert has said this. Colbert and Tomlin just said this. They covet those 8 picks that they have. And the only way you trade down is if you can add a pick and boost up what you're trying to do. And that's it.
Ooh, that's another scenario, right?
Yeah.
Najee's gone.
Okay.
You trade down, slide in there and get Javonte Williams. if you covered him see, that's the thing. I wish there was a way. I really wish there was a way that I knew somebody.
Right. Yeah.
What I mean? I wish it was just, man, to kind of know if they like him. Because and that's why, like I said, I give credit, man, to the guys that still at Depot because they've been doing it so long. They have people that they talk to, and I've seen them on other people's podcasts, and so when you're in that line of work, just like with even though they're not always right, Ian Rappaport and all of them, but a lot of times they be getting information. I wish I was in that position to not to tell, but to at least come on here and say, look, this dude could be in play because they really like him. We don't know. They didn't give us no evidence other than the fact that they send the running back coach to North Carolina. But that's like that's in the playbook. That's 1-on-1. Like they got 2 decent running backs.
Right.
Send your running back coach there. I mean, you got to do your due diligence.
Right.
That's no surprise. But we don't know if they like him. We haven't heard anything. We heard from Najee. We heard from ETN. We haven't heard nothing. And it makes it harder.
You can argue they heard from Trey because they were at the Ohio State Pro Day. They showed Tomlin talking to him.
And what we keep hearing, Steelers, the rumor is the Steelers think he really fits
their scheme. So
we ain't heard nothing about Javonte.
It's a weird thing because I agree with you. You do wish and it's like, we all applaud what Dave Bryan and them do on Steelers Depot, but always, me and Sim always have these conversations. It's like, yeah, they're just like us. They're like maybe 70 to 80% right most of the time because Dave Bryan will lock in on a player and
Yeah,
they never get him. I'm like, where are you at? Because I don't
he
get it.
sure was right about Kittle though. That one, he hit on that one.
Yeah,
And we drafted Josh Dobbs. We could have got George Kittle, guys.
Yeah, he was right on Kittle,
man.
He'll ride that card to the end. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, if we sit here and last year we were talking about the receivers and it was Pittman and Claypool, and that was our discussion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who's going to be there and either
we
or would have been
Pittman.
both of them. Either or is great. And people in Steelers will say, well, Claypool is this and that, and I just sent him a video and I just texted him about this. If Claypool had Pittman's feet, he'd be a top 5 receiver in the NFL. You know what I'm saying?
Either Pittman, even the younger one.
Right, yeah, the younger brother that's at Oregon.
Yep.
Yeah, so if he had his feet, and if you just watch them work, because they're working out in LA right now. You can watch them work out in LA right now, and if you watch both of the players, Pittman's feet are just. Yeah. He was getting open on Claypool. It was just easy. It was easy work. It was just like Claypool couldn't keep up with him. Those feet, that little short area quickness. That's that Antonio Brown stuff, man. You can't, if you have that, that's next level.
That's why I need Deontay to get his concentration together.
Right,
he got all that.
He got all that. Yep.
Oh, yeah, it's hard to call, guys, because I see a scenario where, Najee's gone. Based on your board, there's an offensive lineman that's ranked higher. You take him at 24 and you come back in the second. And I agree with Kenyon. I think Sermon is still there in the third, but maybe you pull the trigger in the second because you're like, no, let's just make sure. He's definitely there at 55. I think so. Because if Najee, let's say Najee's gone and ETN is gone, Williams and a couple others are definitely still sitting there in the second. I think Sermon is ranked behind those guys.
Williams and Carter.
Carter's still sitting there. I think Trey Sermon would easily be there at 55, and the Steelers might be in a position where they have to go in, depending on if there's a run on running backs. We don't want another Artie Burns situation where corner's going here, the running back going here, running back going there, and you just got to grab one. So I think if we don't come out of the draft, man, in the first 3 rounds with one of the top 5 running backs, I think it's a miss. Not to say that we couldn't wait, but y'all gonna think I'm crazy when I say this. I feel like if it's not ETN, Harris, Williams, Sermon, trying to think who else, maybe even Carter. The Gainwells and those dudes, I'm just not.
I think the Steelers covered that power back.
Yeah, man. I kind of feel like if you miss on those dudes, yeah, man. If you miss on one of them, you might as well stick with what you got now. Honestly,
yeah.
Why jump out there and draft a guy? I think if you don't get one of those dudes, ride it out with Snell, Ballage, and
Kalen Ballage is a big back like that. You have Snell and you have McFarland.
Yeah,
you just do it by committee. I just think that they covet like Najee, and they covet. I think maybe their backup plan could be Trey, which is something we identified, during bowl season. You know what I mean?
Like Trey Sermon looking like. I haven't looked at his measurables.
He's 6'1".
Oh, okay. That's all I need to know.
Yeah, he's 6'1", 2.
He's 2 something. Like he a big boy.
225, something like 230, something like that.
Oh, they got him at. He's probably bigger now, but Google don't never tell the truth. They got him at 215.
No, he's bigger. He was bigger than that at his pro day. So I think he's at least 220, 225, something like that. You know what I mean? But so those guys, to me, I think they covet, and I think his 40 time may have helped him also during that pro day. And look, the Steelers like Big Ten players. Let's just keep it 100. They like Big Ten guys. They like those programs: Ohio State, Clemson, Michigan, Michigan State, Wisconsin. I mean, look at our roster. You know what I mean? Tomlin likes those guys. You know what I mean? They like the Power Five guys. You know, I mean, you can, Texas, USC. They like those guys. So especially in the first round, and especially that they like that pedigree. They like that stuff. So Florida State, you can throw in there. The question I have for you is, when do you pull the trigger on center? Because the run on centers will start in the second round.
There you go. Honestly, it might have to be first, second, or third round.
Right.
Because I feel like if center though. See, here's the way we're gonna get in trouble, right? What if one of them tackles is sitting there at 24? Okay. One of the highly coveted guys. And then in the second round, you almost forced into picking a running back because, if you came into it thinking we need a running back, then are you picking a center later? Or, it's like a small school type dude, like mine is going to be there. It's like, I feel like if you're going after Myers, or what's the other dude? Humphrey's a center too, right?
Yeah, so you have Creed Humphrey, Landon Dickerson. So you have those three, and then you have Miners, who was a guard who's converting to center and proved he could play center. Look, the small school thing doesn't mean anything because they got Dotson last year.
That's right.
And if you look at Cobra's history, it's going to go down in history as one of his best picks. Now, can he strike gold twice? You get Miners, and that run on center is going to start in the second round, man. So the way I look at it is, if Landon Dickerson didn't have the injury concerns, the history of injuries, he's viable. He's viable at 24. Like, I can make a good argument. Bro. Lotto. You know what I mean? I mean, he's a stud. But he's been hurt. He was hurt at Florida State, and he got hurt. He's had multiple surgeries. If his medical checks out, even if you draft him at that point, you're still worried because, look, he's already had 2 surgeries. So in your mind, you're already thinking, well, he may get hurt again. You know what I mean? But you can't teach what he has. He's a great leader. Everybody seems to like him. I just think that he would be a great replacement for Pouncey. But do you take him at 24? Like, to me, when they say they open, that means anything could happen. So I will prepare everybody for anybody. Don't target. Anything can happen. If Caleb Farley is there at 24, and I know Tomlin loves Farley, and he falls to 24, do you take Farley? But he just had the back surgery, which is why he's slipping down draft boards. They're going to have to take a center in this draft, and it might be the second round. And I'm just playing scenarios out. I'm just playing them out. You might have to do it in the second. And as Cobra said, there's big depth at tackle in this draft. So they might be able to get a tackle in the fourth that you're not even thinking about. And they have 2 picks in the fourth. So, we're just brainstorming, playing the scenarios out, and, I won't be shocked. But, I don't know if you pass on that center. Josh Myers, our boy Wyatt Davis.
Myers is nasty, bro.
Both of them as a tag team were just beasts. What do you do in that scenario? You know what I mean? So, and you can't even rule out quarterback in the fourth. Somebody like Jamie Newman might be available. You know what I mean? They could just use as a project. Even though I don't think they're a draft quarterback, because I think Tomlin likes Dwayne Haskins and wants to develop him. That's just a sense I get, that I think he's looking forward to seeing what he is. And, the rehabilitation process. I'm not sold on him, but I'm just saying.
No, me neither, man. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see him. it's funny to see him play in preseason when this dude was a starter. But it is going to be interesting, man. I'm looking to see if his game has changed in terms of processing what's happening, progressions, accuracy. We'll be able to see that in preseason.
Right.
Man, looking at one of the comments here, Michael Vinlayer, he brings up a similar situation. He says it reminds him of the Eddie Lacy, Le'Veon Bell situation. People were mad that we didn't get Lacy, and then, we got Bell. What are your thoughts? The funny thing is, I don't know how long some people may have followed me or not, but some would remember, and if Leonard is in here, he'll remember. At that time, I said, I want Bell over Lacy. I kept saying it, and people were telling me I was crazy, and I was like, nah, man, just look at this dude. There's something about him. The way he plays, the freeness in which he plays,
right.
I was all over Bell. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that I knew Lacy was going to turn out to be what I didn't know that. I thought he would be a good running back as well. But so that's kind of how I feel about this situation. Not saying, and I don't want to say it apples to apples because it's not. Because I think if we draft Najee, I think Najee going to pan out.
Yeah.
But the sentiment is what we feel about Williams. Everybody is Najee Harris, Travis Etienne, and I don't disagree. But you have a dude in Javonte Williams, bro, that I'm telling you, whoever he goes to, just watch him. I got a feeling that we're going to be coming in here every week and being like, man, you see what Williams did? That dude is something. He is special. So in that regard, yes, I would definitely take the guy that's not being talked about as much instead of the one that they're penciling in as the 1A and 1B running back. So,
I mean, the question I would ask you then look, we love Javonte. We love him. The question I would ask you is, when you were on Le'Veon Bell and you watched Le'Veon Bell, it's like when you watch Najee, that's Le'Veon Bell. It's essentially the same back. The only thing Najee doesn't have that Le'Veon Bell would have is I don't know if he doesn't have the patience that skill where Le'Veon had, where he could be really patient to the hole. But there are three backs in this draft to me I would be fine with, and I like ATN. My thing with him is that while he's a breakaway back, now some people say he was kind of nicked up, but I'm like, yeah, but he's a breakaway back. He'll fit in our system because if he gets any type of space, he's out. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know how durable he really is. I don't really love his running style because I've seen too many times where people were just able to tackle him like first contact. And I'm like, yo, and that's the one thing about Javonte that you see immediately. The first contact, that guy's not going down. He's going to make you miss or he's going to try to run over you. And he doesn't have a lot of tread on his tires, which is another thing. But maybe Steelers may look at him like he can't be a bell cow. And, so.
In the AFC North?
Yeah, the AFC North, you got to have a bell. I mean, I liken Javonte similar to the Cleveland's running back. They're very similar, except Chubb at Georgia was in the three-back system at Georgia. They had three stud running backs. But the thing is that Chubb, for him to be that big, was he had like a little breakaway speed. And we've seen it in the NFL. We've seen him do it. So, it's hard. I just don't know. I just think in that second round, man, center is And then you have to think about it this way. What about tight end? And look, if the Steelers are going to get back to being quote unquote old school Steelers and want to pound people and bludgeon people, you get you a center and you draft your tight end. I used to have Pat Fryermuth up there. He's nice. He's great. He's a good player. But if you give me Tommy Tremble, who's looking to pancake people and can play H-back and fullback and catch the ball, wasn't really utilized because Notre Dame has like stud tight ends on that team. They have a freshman that's like a stud in 2 years. Oh my God, he's going like top 10. I think it's Michael Myers. That kid is 6'5", 255 beast.
Oof.
He's just a monster. But he's a freshman. But Tommy Tremble, watch the tape. He's looking to take people out, and to me, that guy will fit perfectly with the Pittsburgh. And remember, they were at Notre Dame Pro Day. Just remember the Pro Days they went to. They went to Notre Dame Pro Day, and I'm pretty sure they know who Tommy Tremble is from last year with Claypool. So that just tells me everything I need to know.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So I would love Tommy Tremble. I'm just personally, I would, and I would take him, especially if he's there in the fourth. That would be one of my 2 picks. And depending on how we pick before that, I might take him in the third if I have to, So he's a great blocking tight end. Not good. And remember, Ebron can't block. I know y'all, it's not happening. He's not going to he's willing, but he'll never be a great blocker. So, and you can transition out of Ebron for next year and have Tremble there, and then you can draft another tight end. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, man. I'm just looking at the chat here. Y'all be tough on players, man. Like, I get it that Haskins, he didn't look good in Washington, but I would always remind people, man, and whether you hate him or love him, whether you think Derrick Henry is the reason for his success or not, I just think of a Ryan Tannehill. It was a point in time where everybody thought he was done. And now he's been able to be a serviceable quarterback and making some right throws when he needs to. Not a great quarterback, but I'm just saying, just because a young Dwayne Haskins has looked the way he looked in Washington, the Steelers essentially got them another draft pick just to see what he got. They didn't really cost us nothing. It's like, let's just see. I don't agree with taking a quarterback this year unless it's one of the top guys. And again, it's not to say that you can't get a dude late. Y'all know how much I love Russell Wilson, who was a 3rd round pick. I'm not saying that you can't wait till later. It's just I don't see the value in that this year. I understand. It's supposed to be Ben Roethlisberger's last year. I know that. But with all of the holes that we have, I just don't see the value in taking a later round quarterback and hoping that he pans out to be Ben's successor, which probably wouldn't even be that. You probably still looking to you draft a quarterback in the 4th round. Guess who's your starter next year? Mason Rudolph, probably. They probably try to find a way to get him back. Or you go looking again for a quarterback next year. So I don't see the value in it unless it's one of the top tier guys that have shown talent.
Right.
So I don't know. That's just my thoughts on it, man. I think it's a no-lose situation with Dwayne Haskins. He's the number 3 or 4 at the moment. Let's see.
Yeah. I mean, you don't draft a quarterback in the 4th and later. And I'm with them. If it's not one of those top 5 guys, the guys that you could say we could take a risk on them, it's not worth it because they're not going to be they're not a franchise. That's why quarterbacks go so high because if you get a franchise type, you want to get them. You're trying to trade up to get one. So I'm with them next year. I think they can go all in on quarterback. There are a couple of quarterbacks that are coming out next year that I think will fit perfectly. And I think the Steelers can go all in at that moment. Especially if if they feel needs, or if they want to wait. And I joke about it. You can always wait to 2023, and there are like 4 coming out that year. Clemson kid I told Tim about from DJ. He's Ben Roethlisberger right now. He's 6'5", 245, 250, with a cannon arm, can throw it about 80 yards, standing still. He's a. But we'll see with him. You got to watch kids like that, So he's just a sophomore, so you don't know yet. So I don't know if they should be all in this year unless one of those 4 guys go. And to be honest, I'm not. I don't really like Mac Jones like that. The other quarterbacks, I think Trey Lance has the most potential. Problem is he went to a small school. He only played one game, so it's like it's a tape test. You know what I mean? He didn't play. But if you just go by potential and talent, Trey Lance has everything you want.
Yeah, we'll see, guys. I mean, I'll end it with this, and then we can get out of here. We'll be back on Thursday, so we don't really have to spend more time here tonight. See, we got quite a few people watching tonight, so let me lay that out again. What I plan to do on Thursday, I have another podcast that I do, more so centered around gaming and stuff with my man Smitty. But I told him I'll probably do a split stream that day. So instead of a whole show there, I'll stay on with him until Detroit picks. He's a Lions fan. We'll chop that up. And then I'll end that stream. And then I will start one of these, bring Kenyon on, and we'll be live for the duration of the first round. Hopefully nothing crazy happens before I get to it. But if it does, then we'll still come on and talk about it. But either way, we plan to be streaming when the Steelers pick. And by that time, we will have seen some other guys get picked. So that's what we'll do Thursday. So like I said, if I had to guess at it, I would say roughly 9. I mean, if y'all want to come in earlier than that, I'll be already streaming starting at 8 o'clock. And if y'all want to rock on both streams, that's up to you. But anyway, man, the last thing I will throw at you guys tonight, here's my guesstimation. I don't want to cheat by getting to Thursday and we're seeing who's falling off the board. I'm sticking to what I said last week or the week before. Najee Harris is there at 24. I really do think the Steelers are going to take him. It just seems like it's silver platter. It's right there. I mean, we could argue, should we go first round running back? And I'm in full agreement with everybody, but it is what it is, man. Sometimes you have to think about the organization and Mr. Rooney and how much he's talking about the run game. I mean, it's obvious that if you like a guy that much, the offensive line depth is there, take the premier running back. Not saying I would, but it's not going to surprise me if we do that. So I think that happens. If Najee is not there, I have a feeling that they could go possibly defense. Maybe they still have the same philosophy where it's offensive line later. So if Najee is gone, that means not necessarily, but it might mean that one of those expected defensive players is still on the board. Because remember, even with us just being just fans, right? As we do this, when you start seeing certain guys come off the board, me and Kenyon do it all the time. Every year we're like, oh, I didn't expect him to get picked. Whoa, what does this do to him? So now it's a trickle down effect. Who is sitting there at 24 if the running back that we thought we were going to get is gone? What if Collins is there? You never know. What if my man that I didn't know much about until I was scouting Georgia and I was looking at Stokes? What if my man, I forget his name, number 13, sitting right there?
Oh, the edge. You're talking about Azari from Georgia.
I'm just saying.
Well, the edge players, if you really look at the draft how it's playing out, so if you can see what's going on, the edge players are dropping. Those are the guys that will be 20, 21, 22, 24.
Yep.
So that's the kid from Georgia. That's Ojulari. That's the kid out of Penn State who didn't have no sacks but ran a 4.3 at his pro day. That they physically a freak, but the production is just I can't go. Look, they're talking about Micah Parsons is dropping because of all field concerns. So you're saying you got to talk about Jalen Phillips out of Miami that went to UCLA. Injury concerns, he'll be there. And Tomlin did meet with Jalen Phillips. They did have a Zoom call. Just keep that in mind. Gregory Rousseau from Miami, the other edge who opted out. Now, that's somebody I don't think they will take because Colbert has specifically said that kids that have opted out, it will be hard for them to draft them. He said this at the press conference to reiterate it.
Yeah.
He wants guys that played. So edge rushers will be there. But if the kid out of Notre Dame does it, I don't think he's gonna make it past the Raiders. But if the linebacker out of Notre Dame falls, JOK make it to 24. Let me tell you something like this. If you ask me JOK or Najee, look, I like Najee Harris, but I'm running up. I'm running up with the card to get JOK. To pair with Bush because I think that's what the Steelers want. They want a linebacker that's the opposite of Devin Bush for the defense, a young guy. So,
yeah. Because then you always got, remember, y'all, what we've been saying all night, you always got Sermon and those dudes in your pocket.
Yep.
So it's, oh, man, I can't wait. I can't wait to see how it's going to go. But I think that's where it's going. So I'm sticking to, like I said, Najee's there, he's gone. If he's gone, I'm not sure where we go because I don't know if the premier offensive lineman, the grade A first round offensive lineman is still there. I don't know.
Right.
But I still think it's going to be running back, offensive line in the first 2 rounds. I just don't know the order. So that's kind of how I'm seeing it. And I think Sermon is your ace in the hole if you want to go in other directions in the first round, whether that be defense, edge, inside guy, corner, perhaps, which we're all afraid for them to do that.
Right.
But if it's a guy like J.C. Horn, I mean, we all could scout that. So it ain't that much of a risk if they do something like that. But that's how I think it's going, man. I think in the first 3 rounds, we're going to come back and we're going to say, man, they got a running back, they got an offensive lineman, and perhaps a defensive player. Mm-hmm. I just don't know the order. But only thing I'm kind of sold on is if Najee is there 24, I do think all of the rumors, all of the tea leaves are there. They're going to take him. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Well, other than that, man, I guess we'll go ahead and get out of here, man, because, again, it's going to be a fun night on Thursday. Make sure y'all come back, for the newcomers. For everyone who's used to being here, then we'll see y'all on Thursday. But like I said, one more time, I'll be already streaming around 8 o'clock, doing another stream. That's not the hardcore Steelers dedicated stream, but please come if you want. Either way, you will see myself and Kenyon again that night. And the idea will be before the Steelers pick, and we'll just have open discussion. Because we do it like this, it's harder for me to take calls on nights when I have guests. When we do the still table, because Kenyon won't be able to hear you guys. So maybe we'll do it. We'll see. Maybe I can relay to him what you guys are saying. We'll figure it out. But other than that, man, anything else you got, Kenyon, before we roll?
Yeah, just looking forward to Thursday. And you could all, as you said, Sam, you could, if the ladies want to chime in, y'all want to. Oh yeah. If y'all want to come on the stream, it's all good too. You know what I mean? It's just we just Sim and I will be here. Hopefully Tony can have time to come in, and it'll be cool with a lot of people. You know what I mean? It's cool with more people because then you get different perspectives, and I like to hear everybody's perspective on what they think, and Sim and I love that. So Thursday it's on. It's gonna be on. We don't know what to expect.
Don't know what to expect. We might get pissed off.
We might get pissed off. We might be angry. Me and Sim, we joke about it, but Sim said if Steelers draft Javonte Williams, I told him earlier, I said Sim gonna lose it on camera. He's actually going, you've never seen Sim lose it.
Man,
this will be the first time you will see Sim lose it on camera.
Yes.
If they draft somebody that we think is, we don't think they should have drafted. I'm pretty sure people look. The comment section's already gonna have their opinion, but I'm not gonna be surprised. I'll try to stay even, but I am human. They draft somebody like, I'm not even gonna say no name. I'm not even gonna do that. But I'm not.
They draft Zaven. Kenyon gonna go crazy.
They draft Zaven, I'll be happy. If they draft Javonte, I will be happy.
Yeah.
Because I put Sim on Javonte so he could know about him, and then Sim lost it and just kept going. And I mean, I will tell you guys in the chat, if you know the times that Sim texted me, like, yo, this kid,
dude, he got it, man.
I'm sitting there going, I've already watched all these games, and he's like, yo, I'm like, I told you to do,
he got
Trey Sermon also, I'll be ecstatic they got Trey. I'll be ecstatic they get Najee. Look, it's not like we don't like Najee. I know my man Jordan in chat love Najee. He think it's end all be all Najee. But I always tell Jordan this: Steelers going to draft best available. That press conference, it wasn't even eye opening. It was just basically blueprint of what they normally would do, and they're open to anything. So if somebody drops and falls, I don't think they'll draft a quarterback. I don't think they'll draft a cornerback, but we shall see.
We shall see. One last thing. Somebody asked me about it earlier. They said, scouting on Javon Holland. I told some of you guys before, he's actually a distant cousin of mine. He's not going to end up in Pittsburgh. I don't see it. I think even though he opted out, I think his stock will still be up. And I mentioned this before. I don't know where we play him. Some people said he can play slot. Yeah, maybe, but I don't think I wouldn't take the ball out of his hands like that, if y'all know what I'm saying. I think Holland, from what I've seen, is a playmaker. He can roam. If we didn't have Minkah, and maybe we were still looking for a free safety, I think he can translate to that in the NFL. I wouldn't want him as strong safety in the way we use our strong safety.
Right. He can't play traditional Pittsburgh Steelers nickel strong safety. You have to be bigger because it's just the way that defense is built. Your strong safety in that defense essentially has to be a solid tackler. They have to be bigger guys because they're going to be played in the box.
Yeah.
In KB schemes. KB schemes that's what they want. So, look, I like him. I loved him at Oregon. He tore USC. I was there. I saw the game. He tore USC. He was killing USC. I know the guy who recruited him. The guy who recruited him is actually at USC right now because USC paid more money to get him out of Oregon because they was taking all the recruits. But I love him. I love that kid. But the problem is that we have Minkah, so you can't really have two free safeties roaming around like that. Especially with the loss that we have, of Mike Hilton. Cornerback in this draft will be addressed. And it's not just because of Justin Lane's situation, which we didn't really talk about, but Justin Lane's situation with him being arrested, and because I think he might not be around because he has a felony charge. Like that's not no
lightweight, bro.
Right, and he has a felony charge. That's a little bit different. So I think cornerback will be addressed in this draft. I just don't know where. You know how Sim and I feel. We love Eric Stokes. That's somebody we didn't talk about either. Eric Stokes, who you can really consider drafting early because, look, the guy is a playmaker, and you cannot teach 4.31 speed.
No, you can't.
And it shows up on tape.
And he be in your hip pocket.
And he's a straight man-to-man corner. Man. So, there's him. There's Caleb Farley who's falling. There's, of course, we talked about J.C. Horn, but he'll be gone. Surtain will be gone by 10. There's there's Rochelle, a small school guy. You probably can get him like third round later, around that area. But he's a project, but he has the skill set. And you have to remember the guys we have on the roster. That's also a factor in this. Our boy that me and Sim scouted 2 years ago, who we got, who's a physical freak, 6'2", runs a 4.4. He's on the roster. So maybe they can – I trust our coaches, our DB coaches now because they have a proven track record. So I have to trust them. So –
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, and then you got that other kid, man. Stokes' partner in crime, Campbell.
Oh yeah, Campbell. Yeah,
maybe not as good, but see the way I look at cornerback.
Right.
It's not always if they get beat or whatever. I like to see how are they with technique. How are they when they're in phase? How do they play the ball, attack the ball? And sometimes, it wasn't fair the game I watched because they was playing against old boy. And he just housing everybody. Look, but he was in position quite often.
He was.
Dudes were making tough catches on him. That's different than that's totally different than he's a bump. No, it don't mean that. Julio Jones would do that to a lot of people. Y'all remember that? Good corners.
Yes.
I just need you to be in position. But sometimes a dude just gonna be able to moss you or they go, it happens, but that don't mean that you're a bum. And that dude actually, sticks with his guys pretty well as also because I noticed in a lot of those games they would throw his way.
Right.
It was almost like the Steven Nelson effect when he was with the Chiefs.
Right.
He got thrown at way more than Stokes. But if you watch him, he not bad. It's a guy I might take a shot at later on.
Yeah, but you see why they didn't throw to Stokes' way. I mean, if you watch the game, if you watch the games, you see why they didn't try to pick on Stokes. Because every time you throw it over there, he's either deflecting it or he's picking it off.
Yeah.
He's picking it off and taking it back to the house. And you don't want that. You know what I mean? And Tomlin covers playmakers, and that guy is a straight playmaker. So, and you're right. Campbell, he's not bad. But the problem is, you're right. Yeah. When you watch the Florida game, they specifically had him trying to cover Kyle Pitts. And it was just
fair, man.
It wasn't fair. And look, just to give the kid, I'm not going to be on the kid like that. Look, Kyle Pitts is going to do that to people in the NFL. Day one, when he walks into the league, Kyle Pitts is a lotto stud walking into the NFL. You know what I mean? Yeah. He is a matchup nightmare. You guys think Gronk and all these, you think they're bad? This dude is different. You know what I'm saying? And Campbell could do nothing. They put Monty Rice on him. They put the linebacker on him. The inside linebacker who Sim liked. He was telling me, I like that kid.
Yeah, I like him.
They put Monty Rice on him, and Kyle Pitts was killing him. Look, Kyle Pitts did this to every team. He did it to Alabama. They put Patrick Surtain II on Kyle Pitts, and he killed them. Kyle Pitts is look. To me, he's the best player in the draft. He's the best player in the draft. It's I mean, you talking about matchup nightmare. Oh my God. I mean, if we're picking top five,
man, I'll leave y'all with this. A nightmare until y'all see us again on Thursday. Can y'all imagine Kyle Pitts going up against us and how we match up against tight ends down the seam?
Oh my God.
Holy moly. Devin Bush, no disrespect, but there's no way you can. It just ain't gonna happen. What we gonna have to do? Bring Minkah down? Make him try to guard him one-on-one?
That's not gonna work, man.
Oh gosh, man.
You gotta bracket. You have to bracket him and hope he doesn't snag the ball. You have to bracket him and hope he doesn't snag it. I mean, his catch radius, Sam. Come on, man. Look at his catch radius. Yeah. If you throw the ball anywhere near him, he's going to moss you. He was a basketball player. He plays like that. He plays like he just boxes you out and look. No, I talked about Kyle Pitts last year. I told Sim watched one game and we were like, yo, this dude right here, look, he's the best player in the draft. I'm just saying it. He's the best player in this draft. And I don't really think it's particularly close because I think what he does, you can't teach. And if we were in the top, like I said, if we were in the top five in that position and we had a chance to draft him, because he's not Eric Ebron, who went high in the draft. He's not Eric Ebron drops balls. This dude right here, no. And he's from Pittsburgh. He's from Pennsylvania. He's from Philadelphia. Oh, my God.
Well, there you go, guys. We'll leave y'all with that. See you guys Thursday night. Like I said, look around 9-ish, maybe a little sooner, but at least about around 9 o'clock. Come on through, and we will be talking the draft, and hopefully we'll all be excited after the pick. But we'll see you then. But until then, everybody be safe. God bless. Good night. Catch you guys later. Peace.